Bethlem, Hospital for the Insane, London, 1854.
When I am good, I call her
Ward Sister Grey.
when I am good. When I am good, I stand in my shift at the morning sink.
Cold water is brought.
I wash my hands, my face. I am allowed to dress myself.
When you are good.
When I am good, I sit and sew. I embroider. I listen to the birds in the new aviaries.
There is something quite uplifting in the sound of bird song.
I am told. When I am good, I am given a spoon with which to eat my food. I chew each mouthful.
47 times.
Count. When I am good, I sit quietly preparing for my talks with George.
With Dr. Hayden.
With Dr. Hayden. We talk about my
Poetry.
about the way I write, the way I feel. Talking makes me better.
And when Dr. Hood visits us,
Here in the women's wing,
the criminal women's wing,
I do not pester him with questions, fall to my knees and kiss his hands as do the other women. But thank him for all that he has done for us. The refurbished library.
the new aviaries.
It is better here now,
Better than before.
and I am better. I am good, not bad.
Good.
So I would make just one request.
Not now.
May I
Not at this time.
May I have a proper pen?
It has been considered
A proper
unsavory.
pen and ink to
It
write
has
my
been
poems
considered.
write with. A proper pen and ink to write my poems with, please. S'il vous plaît, pour favor.
No.
No. I would know when I might see my babies again.
When you are better.
I am better.
You are good, Emily. You are not yet better.
Not yet. My husband brought me here. Told me I was unwell, that I was a danger to him and to my children. Told me that I wrote
Too much.
Told me that
This incessant scribbling, this poetry causes nothing but distress.
the other men agreed. Poetry, they told me.
Poetry disrupts the ordered home.
And then my husband bade me good day. Bade me good day and left me here.
The lawyers would see to the divorce.
He said,
The other men agreed.
the following afternoon my things were brought. A mirror, a silver-backed comb, my manuscripts. But no photographs. No photographs.
Of any kind.
Of anyone.
They would distress you.
They said the little faces, the little faces.
They would distress you. Be good.
They said.
Be good, and one day you may go home again.
But I did not go home. I became sad, grew sick with sadness, and then terrified that I had been abandoned here in this empty, echoed place. Daily more certain that those that passed before me were no more than my memories of people. The ghosts of ghosts. But even more than that, even greater than the terror of abandonment was the terror that
What is that? Who is making that noise?
Jesus, terrified that
Files at once.
Careful, Files.
that I
Sir,
might, terrified that I might
when
never
I tell you, Mr. Files, gentle restraint holding just our arms. No straps to the body.
see, I never see!
Dr. Hayden.
My baby!
Gently, Files, careful. Have we left her? Sir?
My babies! Never see!
She should be properly restrained.
No restraint.
My babies!
Breathing slowly now, Emily, slowly.
Restraint should be brought, and she should be properly restrained.
Sir, gently. Can you hear me, Emily?
Restraint should be brought, and she should be properly restrained.
Deep breaths like we showed you. That's it. That's it.
Dr. Hayden, I insist.
Emily, we are going to try to let you stand. Are you ready? Sir,
Did you hear me, Dr. Hayden?
Sir? Slowly now, Files. Easy. Grab her if she looks like falling. Slowly now. That's it. Deep breaths. Slowly now. Take your time. You've had another incident, that's all. You're safe. That's it. That's it. There now.
Dr. Hayden.
Stand away, Files.
But sir,
Restraints should have been applied.
Now, please.
Sir?
There. I think we manage without restraints.
I insist. As a female, this patient is my responsibility.
That's all.
Fowles? Dr. Hayden, we must... Dr. Hayden?
I'm just saying, it took 3 attendants.
One. Actually, the other 2 attendants hardly.
Well, she still needs to be restrained.
Hell, she merely
There will be
requires...
questions about your work, George, our work. The Commission will almost certainly.
There'll always be questions, Charlie.
Well, at least consider the possibility of a link between, well, the rise in Emily's violent incidents and this writing stuff you're doing with her, this poetry stuff.
Right.
Something in the choice of theme, perhaps. Loss.
Loss is what is uppermost in her mind at the moment. I'm only going to
suggest.
This is her first incident in what, 3 weeks?
Yes, 3.
Charlie, my patients show me their work, their writing, their painting, and we talk about the images within them and the feelings
Oh, yes, the feelings.
we talk and they feel better.
Oh, it's art that talks, George. Read a book, look at a picture, you feel better, no? Uplifted.
And we...
So we'll surround these people with art, with music, literature, and we'll cure them. All of them, not just your artist, everyone. Although we'd agree there's application of art, and it's the basis of our proposal.
We do.
Yes, the end of the cruelty of restraints, the straps and buckles, the disgusting...
We did. Charlie.
Yes, well, I'm glad that's settled. Do you get much out of him, do you? Richard Dan?
Sometimes. You?
Sometimes.
He was not so good yesterday.
No, it was very definitely not so good yesterday. I mean, I was polite, pleasant enough. Good afternoon, Mr. Dan. It's been 6 weeks since your last incident. December 3rd, 6 weeks, yes. I'd call that progress, no? Might as well have been talking to myself. Have you seen the new Averys? There's something uplifting about the sound of birdsong, Mr. Dan. And the works of art that cover the wall? That's dreadful quality in my view, but elevating somewhat.
Somewhat.
Perhaps we could replace them with some of your work. You're once an artist of great promise, I'm told. Royal Academy, that sort of thing. Wasn't it?
Sir.
It's our intention to create an environment of such artistic and...
Chatter.
The bird.
You.
Me.
You.
You could try talking with him about his work. Have you even looked at it?
Look at it. I fall over it every time I step in here.
Charles, just try. Take a moment to look. His latest series is called The Passion.
Passion. Oh, why can't he paint a nice country cottage or some sheep? Passion.
And Emily's writing...
No. Emily Clayton will leave this institution because her study of well-known authors and writers will have returned her to a state of cultural grace.
Returned. Charlie, the woman was accused of threatening her husband with a butter knife. She's not exactly gone anywhere to return from. And when she does leave this place, it will be because through her own art, she will have come to an understanding of how she feels.
Oh, powerful feelings like savage dogs are best left undisturbed. Whereas you'd have them running around the place, fighting people.
Whereas you'd focus on the creation of an artistic environment and totally ignore the patient.
No, that's where you're wrong. I place the patient at the centre of the artistic environment. I surround them with art.
You abandon the patient at the centre of your artistic environment and leave them there to read other people's books and stare at other people's paintings.
Whereas you don't know where you're taking them. Do you? Not really. And the risks, George. The Commission balanced on the very edge of accepting these reforms, our reforms, and here you are running off down some blind alley.
Because I believe there's something there I have to try.
Try. I don't want you trying anything. I want you back on board, back on the boat. I told Richard Dad as much. That we're a team, and we'll be helping him together.
Well, that's a relief.
I'm glad you approve.
Hayden doesn't chatter.
Really?
He listens. I talk, do you?
Well, I must...
No, before you go. I wanted to tell you about my last
And
incident.
that's when it started, at our next
Well, it
meeting.
was different, my last incident. I want to tell you about how it was
Mr.
different.
Nash.
I know that I'm not well.
You are very ill, Mr. Dad. That's why you're here.
Yes, I know that I am very ill, Mr. Dad, but I want to speak about my last incident.
That's how
Now! I need to tell you now why it was different and what I
Hardly stop to draw breath. On and on about this sense, this concern, that anxiety. The new voice he could hear.
A man's voice,
That's the illness.
which you're supposed to be curing me of.
And we will, in time.
Time.
I understand. You play the violin. We must arrange.
No, why am I here? This prison.
Hospital.
What did I do exactly? What did I...
What you once did is irrelevant. Here we only look to the future. Fowls, we never trouble ourselves with the
No,
past.
I did something wrong, didn't I? It was after my return from travelling in the Egypt. That's when it was too much sun. They said too much hashish, too much sun. I did something so wicked after my return that they. I remember I was holding my jacket close so no one would see the blood, but it wasn't my blood. It was somebody else's. And the courthouse in Rochester, after they had found me, brought me back.
Mr. Dad, this is irrelevant.
I'm telling you what I can remember. Don't Mr. Dad me home. You can't tell me my memories are irrelevant. Now listen, the courthouse where they brought me, I was put on trial for the blood, for the voices.
Mr. Dad, this must
So
stop.
why can't I make sense of this? Why can't I see myself in the things that happened? Oh, this blindness, this
Mr.
work.
Dad.
I'm blind. I'm lost in these winding corridors.
Mr. Dad, really,
Winding without.
Ready?
I walk for days. I find no edge in this empty place. No edge!
Mr. Dad would like to leave here now, Fowls. He'd like to rest and think about the power of art to bring peace and calm to the
Fuck you!
mind. Art, literature, the sound of birds.
Fuck you,
The
birdsong.
simple sound of birdsong will bring you back to yourself.
Myself.
We will speak again soon, Mr. Dad. Very soon. No, yesterday was decidedly bloody awful. Blindness, the self, the past. Frightening the horses with all this talk, George. And that wasn't bad enough for the likes of promoting her vile cruelty.
My lords, gentlemen of the Commission, I thank you for this opportunity as you consider your decision. Viewed as punishment, straps and buckles may appear cruel, but as a means of a patient's protection against themselves, they must be viewed as a kindness owed to the mentally distressed as persons within our care. My lords, gentlemen of the Commission, if there is cruelty, it lies within the denial of restraints for those unable to restrain themselves, not its application.
You're early.
I'm on time.
Then I'm late. Sorry.
You're here now.
So, what shall we look at this morning?
First draft. Some days I sit quite still, that they might see how good that I can be. My hands held neatly on my lap, my shoulders back, my head tipped so, a smile upon my face to show that I agree.
But you don't.
Agree.
It's still a very beautiful poem, Emily.
It's a very angry poem, George. It's about how I felt when I first came to this place. My husband's abandonment of me.
The divorce.
The divorce, yes, but much more than that. The loss of my children.
I see.
Do you?
No.
It's a poem about not being allowed to tell my story, the story of my loss, and being made instead to tell their story, the story of a contented inmate of this institution. It's about not saying, not speaking.
Because you couldn't speak.
Wouldn't speak. I had decided, it was my second day here, that if I could not tell my story, the words I wanted to say but that they did not want to hear, then I would not speak at all.
Emily Clayton refuses.
To say their words, their empty babble. When I'm good, I sit and sew. Their words, George. It's not my story.
Refuses. Fouls!
But why didn't you just...
So things were done to me. Oh yes, it happened often and in a room you don't even know exists. But they would not come, their words, because I would not let them past my gritted teeth, no matter what they did to me. And then in that place, where the only sound was the animal harshness of their breathing as they beat and beat me, I heard rage.
Emily.
I called out to her, George. In my mind, I called out to her, "Where are you?" And then from my mouth, my throat, my guts, a sound. Here. I am in here, you. In here.
Emily, let's talk about...
Here!
We'll stop now.
Fouls at once.
Snarling here in me. Yes, me, in me. I am this tearing, silent rage. I am
This patient, Clayton, on my command. Pacify. Placate. Enfold and embrace. Care.
Awoke in a cold room. Small, dark, rough floor. Rage quiets in me now. I feel asleep. Sleep, gentle sleep. And then, after that, after rage, George, I became
Very bad. Oh, merciful heaven. What have you done?
I found a way to right my life.
Oh, bestial. You
Rage
you
us,
are not
easy.
fit.
No ink, no paper, none. I told her. Then take it from within you, she said. From within you. So I did. It wasn't ink, but it would do, George. It would do.
Emily.
And it did.
Oh, this obscene.
Men upon the walls, the floor, it was the door they locked me in with. I found a way to write my words. The words that they did not want to hear because they were too full of human feeling. Too full of loss. I wrote them high and low. I low so that they would have to hear me. See me. My son. I want my babies. I want my babies. I want my babies. I wanted them so much.
Animal.
My story.
Animal.
So much. This is my story. I am their mother. They cry for me. I hear them. Oh, I hear them night after night after day after night.
Emily, I'm going
My
to say...
babies. I am not there because nothing to write with, George. My spit dried. My blood flaked. They were no use. That's why I had to write it, George. You do see. To be heard.
I want you to stop. I don't want to. We shall stop for today, Fowls.
You're angry with me, George.
No,
I've shared too much.
I'm not angry.
I always share too much. My husband
Tomorrow,
said
we can. Mr. Fart. Mr. Fart.
I am not there because I am in here, but I am not well. Not better in here where I am not good.
I stopped the interview. She was taken back to the women's ward. What more do you want? John.
There's concern, George.
The commissioners.
I was summoned yesterday evening. Your approach,
So what did you tell them?
that it's conversational, your approach. I paint this tranquil scene, you and your patient sitting there calmly discussing, what, I don't know, conflicts in nature, struggles between good and evil, that sort of thing, all very moral. And in the course of the conversation, the patient is encouraged to occasionally, very occasionally, discuss their own conflicts, briefly.
How briefly?
Very briefly. That's what I tell them.
Then
I describe how the patient may, on occasion, become unsettled, disturbed. I tell them that too, but then that's when you stop. That's right, George. Tell me that's when you stop.
I don't think I've actually started to wonder if it should rather depend on whether the patient wanted to stop.
You put the patient in charge of the interview.
Is
Is that what you want me to tell them? My colleague puts responsibility for the patient's treatment in the hands of the patient. Who's in charge here, George?
both of us, me and the patient.
You're the doctor.
I know.
The patients look to us for certainty.
It's not
for guidance. We have a
It's
duty
not
of care.
if-
Gee,
Would you stop?
don't you think it's you who should stop? How can I go in there and tell them that
Now, you're
it's
panicking.
unlucky? It's the whole thing, everything we've worked for, the months of work.
All I know is that it works. Somehow it works.
Somehow, you based an entire medical approach on a somehow.
Yes, I would. Tell me one advance in medical science that hasn't begun with half of an idea.
And the other half?
A sense of something, a way forward, a vision.
Oh, give me strength.
It's good. Richard, the painter. Storm at sea, the waves almost engulfing the tiny boat.
Overwhelmed.
Is that what it feels like to be overwhelmed?
It is like that, George. Overwhelmed. Reduced to nothing at all by everything else.
The waves.
Unable to breathe. Unable listen. Unable to see. Sometimes, I can't see myself at all.
About the images. When we talk about them, that helps.
It's better than silence. Voices start up again in the silence.
But you would not want us to stop our talking.
We talk, George.
We do.
And I'm glad we do. I wouldn't want to stop the...
Because it helps. Makes things easier, yes, because... Richard, what's wrong?
A fly. There. On my canvas. See it?
It's just
No, look. See, there. Turning. Writhing in the oils.
just a fly, Richard. I'll fetch Buzz.
No, you fly. Now the voices told me to be ready. Whatever shape you take, devil, I know who you are. I know the devil when I see him. Do you think that this disguise...
His arms goes gently up.
I know you bastard.
Gently now. Draw him away from the canvas, gently outside.
Devil, you bastard. Devil, you.
It's just a fly, Richard. Stop this. The knife, Dr. Hay. It's only a palette knife. Now draw him away from the canvas.
Devil, cross you fucking...
Back up. Get him back. Mind the easel.
Sir, he needs...
No, fuck you.
Just get him back.
The knife, Dr. Hay!
The knife. Come on, the easel.
Sorry, Dr. Hay, it's just...
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Hold him. That's it. That's it.
No.
Slowly, Richard.
No, cry. No, bastard.
That's it.
I'm crying.
I think you can let go now, Fox. But it's all right. It's all right. Now step away. That's it. Step away. What's there, Richard? The fly's gone. There's nothing there.
Jesus Christ.
Is it the storm at sea, the images, the bird plot?
No, there. The falling he's on the dash sheet.
How?
Oh, praise my heart, George.
I want us to return to the paintings.
As he put me back on the falling he's I felt my heart break that I don't know why.
Let me.
Christ, what's happening to me? I'm scared, George. Oh, then Father, he moved us all away. It was London. Off the sheet. Off the sheet. Did you hear him? The child.
Oh, child! Richard, there was no child. I'm trying to understand.
Darling, crying as I was born back.
They say get back! Restraints! In here! Restraints! Restraints in here! Restraints!
Richard!
Restraints! Restraints!
I'm told he had a knife.
Pardon.
Emily's latest incident, Richard Dad's violence. They're in decline, George, your patients. You do see that, don't you? You've lost... Christ, you've lost yourself.
Never seen him like that. Never seen him so.
I've been called before the commission next Tuesday to present a list of transfer patients for that new hospital at Broadmoor. Well, if that's approved, I'll present the reforms. It will force a vote.
Decline.
I think so.
I write. I feel what I write. I write what I feel, and you talk to me and bring me hope.
It was the right thing to have done, wasn't it? To have called for restraints. I had to stop it.
You certainly did.
I haven't stopped.
You did the very...
Anything could have happened. Her file's not in there.
Thank God it was.
And when we talk, it's as if you help me talk with me, with myself, so that I might be clear.
That's right. Isn't it? I had to. The restraints.
And it stops now, all this, George. Yes? George? Good.
It's through the telling that I can bring a clarity to myself. It's in the telling, George, the stories. It's when we tell.
So let us present jointly to the commission. We'll get through our reforms and banish restraint to the pages of medical history, all in an afternoon. Just think, you and I together, just like before.
I shall complete the series. I shall write until there is nothing left to say. I shall say until there is nothing left to write. And I can do all of that because you have brought me hope.
And then, a dance. A dance in the main ballroom for those patients transferring to Broadmoor. We'll invite the commissioners. We'll show them what it's like when we put the patients in an environment that... We'll invite Emily and Richard. That would be the making of. The farewell ball. Farewell to the patients being transferred to Broadmoor. Farewell to restraints. Perhaps even a farewell towards Sister Gray. All in a single afternoon. What do you say, George? Yes, I'm so glad we agree. Seize the moment. The farewell ball. Invitations, George, invitations.
Good evening. I'm Emily Clayton. I write poetry. How do you do?
My name is Richard Dad.
Yes.
He's the boss when I woke up this morning. I paint
Paintings.
landscapes and seascapes, and I paint scenes from classical literature, fairy worlds, mythology, and as a travel, I was once an artist of great promise, Royal Academy, that sort of thing.
And what do you paint?
Landscapes and
Yeah,
scenes.
but what's there beyond what you paint?
And I paint scenes from classical literature, fairy worlds,
But what do you paint?
and desert travel. I paint what I feel. I paint to give the feeling form.
And what do you feel most, Richard?
Tired, mostly. Tired of being, tired of here. And I feel,
Lost?
I do feel lost.
I only say because I feel lost. I write my loss. Or at least I've tried to. What did you see the last time you felt lost? What was there, I wonder?
My easel had fallen over. The dust sheet tangled in the legs. There was a child crying, please let me see her, but they've told me since that there was no child and that I was mistaken.
Who was there?
The attendant, myself, George Hayden, it's there in the report. They told me since. My heart broke.
And the child?
There was no child.
Fallen easel, the dust sheet tangled. Tell me.
And then my heart.
Broke.
It did.
Please let me see her.
Yes.
You were held back.
Not allowed.
Wanted so much to see her.
So much. Like a bed. You see, I suppose the fallen easel, the dust sheet. Like an unmade bed, someone lying there, still.
But they will not let you see her.
No.
She was ill?
Mom's in that room. Quiet! Now, Richard, must be quiet. No fuss.
Each evening you went to wish her good night.
Every evening.
But also to make sure that she was still there.
Just making sure.
Scared that she might not be.
Those high stairs.
Small boy.
It was, 25 steps. Always counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've forgotten what she looked like. I remember her hair was dark. She would play with me. She was my friend. I was 7 years old.
But then one night.
She had been improving. And the doctor said that maybe in a week or two she might even... But I heard the crying. I ran up those stairs, 2, 3 at a time, not counting now. I ran across the hallway into the room. Her face, her eyes, so staring. Christ, her legs, the way that she twisted is as though there'd been
A struggle.
a struggle. Yes. I moved towards her, falling on me back, wouldn't let me. Just wanted to go closer, hold her hand, kiss her
He
goodnight.
held you back.
I tried again. I began to struggle then. No fuss, Richard. No fuss now. He had his arms around me, began to pull me, drag me from the room, dragging at me. Please, let me see. Please let me see her. Why will you not let me see her? Please.
Please.
Taking her away. My friend.
What is this? Look at that. His arms around her, holding her. This is an outrage. Vows at once. Your story
I see no reason of fletching either.
Richard! Vows, you will release Miss Clayton from the man, and then you will remove him from this room and my sight. Now!
Please.
At once! Your story, Richard! This is your doing, Mom. I know all about you and your talking with patients.
Your story, Richard. Listen to your story. Listen.
That's enough! Enough. I shall report this. Reform? Talk! Well, now the commissioners will hear the other side of this talk and the chaos you would bring here. The anarchy! A copy of my report has been sent to the commission. That man attacked my patient. She was physically abused and...
Abused?
Physically and possibly even... It's all there in the report.
Any other members of staff present?
If verification is required, Fowles has offered
You
to...
have made a formal complaint towards Sister. As such, inquiries must be made as to the presence of other members of staff.
Fowles was present.
And the Commission will also require his statement.
I find it highly irregular that an inmate from the male criminal section should be allowed to consort with other patients, especially those from the women's wing, my patients. I think it highly likely that the commissioners will agree.
The Commissioners will come to their own mind in their own time. 3 of them were present at the time, though not in the main room. Dr. Hayden, you witnessed this latest incident of Richard Datton.
There wasn't an incident.
That view flies in the face of both common sense and medical opinion.
Richard Dad was merely distressed.
Merely, he attacked my patient. I recommend restraint, tending.
There was no attack.
Physical abuse?
None.
He held my patient, pinioned her arms, his face inches away from hers and shouting such vile...
Shouting, he was sobbing. She was holding him and he was sobbing.
That criminal must be
That
restrained.
criminal is a patient towards Sister Gray. We'd do well to remember that, all of us. Your official account, Dr. Hayden.
It is being copied up as we speak.
Unofficially, then.
I was on the far side of the room,
when I heard Ward's Sister Gray calling for fowls. On crossing the floor, I found Mrs. Clayton and Richard Dad standing together. She had her arms around him.
Violent.
That is completely...
Were you able to separate them without difficulty?
The Ward's sister called for fowls.
Because you were unable to separate them?
I saw no need to.
This is totally ridiculous.
And upon fowls arrival.
At that point, there was a struggle.
Precisely.
But only because he wanted to remain with Mrs. Clayton. She was calling out him, encouraging him, I thought.
He was!
It is Ward's Sister Gray's overreaction that we should be considering him. What is it about displays of compassion that distresses you so, Ward's sister? What is it about kindness that you find so upsetting?
Far enough, I think, George.
Too far, Dr. Hood. Oh, I marvel at the brashness of your experiment, Dr. Hayden.
An experiment that Dr. Hayden has now brought to an end.
Oh, really? I think you have some further purpose here. One more related to ambition than to medicine. Indeed, I wonder if you might not be trying to make something of a name for yourself with our artists. Folly. You do see, don't you? That a man like Richard Dad, so utterly convinced by the voices in his head to kill the devil, in whatever form it take, even that of his own father, could ever be cured with talk. You do see that.
What happened here?
A story happened.
A story caused all this.
It was very painful.
So why did you tell it?
He told it.
I can't believe
It
that.
was his story. He was 7 years old. He came into his mother's bedroom as he did every night and found her dead. The fallen easel, the tangled dust sheet from the other day simply reminded him of what had until then been hidden.
By who?
By himself. We all have stories and their eventual telling is often painful.
What stories?
Our stories. The things we experience, we bury them so they may not cause us pain, and over the years it's as if they've been forgotten.
You weren't a part of this.
No.
I find him sobbing, pleading, your arms around him, holding him up, and you tell me it was all his doing.
Yes.
Where did you get this idea?
Oh, I don't know. My babies, I think. From when I was still at home with them, I began to watch their faces as they first learned their stories. The story of the night my husband burnt my poetry. The story of how I clung to them when he would demand me for himself, pulling me from their bedside to his. The story of the day I was finally taken from them altogether and brought to this place. Those are their stories, and one day they will have to listen to them.
But you talked.
I listened.
You explained it all. You told him what the image meant, the fallen easel, the dust sheet.
No, he told me. I walked beside him. It was his story. I merely helped him to tell it so that it might be heard. It was a story that needed to be heard.
You offered no explanation.
I might have repeated what he just said back to him at times, but only as a means of allowing him to hear it again and so clarify it in his own mind.
And there is a skill in knowing what to say.
I've come to wonder if the greatest skill is in knowing when to say nothing at all.
And once they've been heard, what happens to these stories?
I don't know. Nothing. I simply believe that once heard, they come to hurt less, so that we might then learn to embrace them and so live alongside them.
Alongside? They don't fade, disappear?
What do you want them to? They are our stories. Their existence is our richness. They are who we are. It's what I believe anyway, that hell must be a heart filled with unheard stories. I told Mr. Dad that.
What are you doing in this place?
Zethlin. Well, it seems to me it's all part of a system in which a man could be incarcerated for losing his mind, whilst a woman can suffer the same fate for daring to demonstrate she has one. It seems to me.
I shall call for an attendant to take you back to the women's room.
I know my way.
I found our talk challenging, Emily.
Challenging or not, George, you may rest secure in the knowledge that as As a patient of this institution, I am almost certainly quite insane.
Charlie, it was extraordinary.
It was extremely foolish.
No, it was extraordinary. Let me.
You promised me there'll be an end to this.
That's just it. He came to me. I didn't seek him out.
George,
You talked.
No, Charlie, that's just it.
I listened.
And he told me. Emily Clayton has shown me that we only need to. I listened, and he told me.
And the knife, the open razor, his father's cries. Did he tell you about those?
Yes, and the horror and the blood on his hands.
It was his story.
I merely helped him to tell it so that it might be heard.
It was a story that needed to be heard.
You had your patient recall one of the most appalling.
And it was appalling, yes. But how else can we embrace the appalling parts of ourselves and so
Live alongside them.
their existence is our richness.
They are who we are.
This is our reform, Charlie. All that time wasted trying to tell the patient why he felt as he did rather than helping him to tell us. We must go to the commissioners together. You and I, together. Secure the reforms and banish restraint to the pages of medical history all in an afternoon, remember? Charlie, I have never. It was the most extraordinary conversation I have ever. And after she died, your mother.
the illness came upon me, and then the voices coming out from the place where the illness had taken hold, telling me, this man is not your father. He's the devil and not your father at all. The way a hermit crab might call out to find the biggest shell in which to live, I began to think that the beast found my father, found him and slid inside.
No noise, Richard. No fuss.
And the voices told me, George, they told me what to do.
And so,
No fuss.
I brought my razor, George, and with it, I removed him from the world and for all time, so that we should be free of evil, all mankind, for all time. I did that. Holding him, his throat, the blood sodden and warm, pumping over my fingers and the backs of my hands, laying him down there, so gently, laying you down. There now, Danny, rest. Rest. Danny.
Richard,
Sitting together on the wet grass all that long night. Daddy and I, me, holding the shell that was him.
it's over now.
The shell. All that was left of him. All that I'd been allowed to keep. Daddy. Daddy. Then here, bringing me here, Bethlehem, then you,
All done.
then you talking with me,
All finished now.
all finished now, all quiet again.
Are you all right?
Well, I think so. You know, George, just now, just as I was telling myself, how it had happened, it came to me. The idea of a double loss.
Tell me.
On the easel, the dust sheet, the figure lying tangled there. Is it both of them, do you think? Both my parents, lost?
Does it seem like that?
Both of them.
And what's it like, knowing that?
Clear? I feel unfolded. Open, yes. So that I can see now.
And what do you see when you see?
Me.
There was no tempest, Charlie. No need for restraint, simply relief. A dignified state of knowing. go to the commissioners together. We'll show them what reform is, that it's not about buildings and art, that it is about people. And Richard, you must see him for yourself.
There's no need.
His improvement is...
I said there's no need. I've already been to see Richard, Dad, and I'm fully aware of how his situation has changed. As is he. I had no choice, George. The vote. Well, in light of recent events, the suggestion was made that Richard Dad's inclusion in the transfer list of patients to Broadmoor and Emily Clayton's removal to a calmer, more secure, secluded environment within Bedford would result in a number of votes returning to us.
More secluded. You do know what it is you're condemning her to,
Well,
don't you?
even
You do
without
know.
Gray's report, opposition to us was substantial and growing. Your patients declined. Your talking with them had made our defeat a certainty. Our proposals would not even have got through.
Our proposal.
Yes. The staffs, you, me, our proposals,
What have you done?
demonstrated our control. Concerns were raised, George. Doubts. Our management of this institution was called. And you agreed! And soon provided us some little hope that the reforms would go through. Yes. Faced with the choice of benefiting all of our patients, risking everything for the benefit of just 2 of them. Yes. I agree.
But this could have been our reform!
Really? Well, if you are going to be the next great leap in medical science, allow me a little time. Just a little time, George, to be a first small, stumbling step. And then once my feet are firmly back in the clay, we'll all turn to you for instruction. But until then,
Being first. Is that what this was about, Charlie? Being first.
we're that close, George. Huh? When you started. It's all been agreed. Attend the commissioners this afternoon. The vote will follow. The patients of Broadmoor will leave at the end of this month.
You think me sadistic, Dr. Hayden?
No,
That I relish restraining the patients in our care?
I don't think of you at all, ward sister. Other than what you practice seems to me to be the opposite of care.
You hold your beliefs with such passion.
I do, yes.
Well, the commissioners will vote shortly, and those beliefs I hold with an equal passion will soon be consigned to the past if Doctorhood wins.
Undoubtedly.
Well, understand this. I have witnessed the curative effect that restraint has upon a patient's ugliness of manner. I've seen the calm order that follows its administration. We both have. No, don't turn away. Always trying a little too hard to be on the side of angels, aren't we? We both stood by as things were done to these patients, have we not? Both of us.
What you describe as tranquility of manner is merely the dumb, animal response to the fear of pain. And what you describe as an individual's ugliness of manner has more to do with anger. And anger is ultimately about loss, isn't it?
Loss?
We'll change nothing until we deal with loss.
Why do you suppose a baby cries, Dr. Hayden?
A baby.
Because it's frightened or in pain. And a mother, what is her natural instinct but to pick the child up and hold it tight in her arms?
And what would you know about a mother's instincts?
The baby stops crying, becomes calm, feeling the mother's arms tight around her, reassured because she knows the mother can stop the fear. And the mother does stop the fear. Because that's what mothers do, isn't it? They hold their babies tight until the fear's all gone and the crying stops. Am I so wrong to want the same of our patients? That's what I want, George. I don't like to hear them crying.
Good evening, I'm Emily Clayton. Yes, I am. I write poetry. Poetry disrupts the order of learning. Did you know? But it does. My husband said so when he brought me to this place. The other men agreed. How do you do?
Going away, Emily, another place.
How strange, because I am going away too. Sit here, they said. Sit here, and we will come for you presently. Another place. Home, safe, they said. How can I travel home with this leather strap around my ankle, George? Oh, I wrote this for you. We're going away, my final piece.
But Emily, there is nothing.
My final piece, yes! Nothing. It's the best poem I've ever written, that's it. I have written silence. I have. What an artistic achievement! Can there be anything more profound than silence? Nothing. I think about nothing a great deal. Another place. Home, do you suppose?
Not home.
Not home. Oh, sweet heavens, tell me of good George. So what want to go home now?
Emily, we won't meet again, probably. And the place is called Broadmoor Hospital. To be taken there by train. From the carriage window, I'll be able to see the English countryside. Think of that. Emily, think of that.
Hear them whisper things about me. I see their looks. So I sit still. And then I hear them say to one another that I am good today because I must sit still. I must sit still. Even when they're gone, I must. Because they'll ask the other women. I've heard them, I know they do. As she moved, they'll ask. And the women, they think a while and then they look between themselves and then they answer no. If I sit too long, they'll think me mad for doing so. Look at her, they'll whisper. Look at her. Look at how she sits so long, head-tipped and always smiling. Poor woman, they'll say to one another, poor mad woman. Poor woman. No, listen. If I move, they'll think I'm mad. So if I'm still, they'll think I'm good. It's still too long, they'll think me mad, so tell me, please, when I might move. Tell me, please, when I might move. You see, I'm trying to wait. I don't know how to show that. I don't know when to move, George. And sometimes when I sit, I forget how long I've done so and then fall to wondering if I'm really even there at all. No, perhaps, you see, I've already gone away. And I'm simply imagining myself still seated here. Here on my rear. Oh, I'm on my bum. Sorry. How do we know when we're really here, George? Really here? For me, I seem to have mislaid the means of knowing.
I've come to say goodbye.
Oh, you mustn't worry. It isn't all bad. No. Some days I sit by a certain window. I don't know where it is. I don't find it every day. But by sitting sideways and leaning, gently in my cheek warm up against the heated glass, I can sometimes feel myself slipping through and then down between the bars and out into the cooling air. I hide amongst the birds. No one sees, no one knows. They're there in my sky. Watch me, floating by. But enough to go home now, do you suppose?
Enough, Emily. It's time for me to say goodbye. And thank you for talking with me. I told my story because of you, remember? The fallen easel, Emily. Thank you so much. A pen, thank you.
Well, everything's been prepared, your luggage stowed. We wish you a pleasant journey. We hope your stay at Broadmoor will prove to be a benefit. Yes, I'm sure it will. Thank you. Oh, I can't thank you enough in you leaving us so many of your paintings. Thank you. Before you go, Dr. Hayden and I wanted to explain. You see, We're firmly of the belief that art, if we surround
Yes.
and you'll be pleased to know, the Commissioners accepted our reforms. We won by 3 votes, you know.
Yes, thank you.
3 votes! Yes. Well, I must attend to the other patients. It's unlikely we'll meet again.
Richard Dad,
George Hayden.
I'm
No,
sorry.
I know. And you need not concern yourself.
Don't allow yourself to become forgotten, Richard.
I won't.
Even then, you
I
could
will
so easily.
not be forgotten, George. Or lost. Richard, my friend. Goodbye. And now, a great treat, George. Imagine, between here and all the long, long way to Berkshire, I shall be able to look out my carriage window and see the English countryside again. The English countryside. Imagine, George.
Listen, George. That's what peace is. When we finally come to listen, to acknowledge our own stories. I think that hell must be a heart filled with unheard stories.